on YouTube. Wait a minute.
Oh.
And then I'm going to do the announcement in a second.
Someone type a message on YouTube.
Oh, God damn it. Are we live on YouTube?
So which one am I watching?
Are we live on YouTube? I don't know. Somebody check. Yeah, for me, it says we're not.
How do you...
No, we're not live.
Oh.
We're not live on YouTube? Upcoming? Why have we not gone live?
Did you not?
Disaster already. Scheduled for this time? Wait. We should be live. Check. Pizza, check again. Oh.
So, yeah. Puzzler's posted
Waiting.
saying it's still scheduled. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've got to. Oh, wait, we're live. Yeah, we're live.
Yeah,
There's a delay on it. Oh, wait, there's a delay on it.
Is that bad?
Well, it'll be bad for the peeps because we're talking in Discord and YouTube, so I guess maybe?
Well, no, they'd have to be watching both at the same time. So surely they'd mute one of them.
I'm going to put up my online whiteboard. Last time I did this, someone actually joined the whiteboard.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it'll happen again.
Or just draw in Paint.
On Paint? I could just do that, do I?
Or any other
I thought
art
they
program.
stopped using Paint. Oh, they didn't.
No, it's always... Unless you have like a Mac, I guess.
Untitled Paint? I'm going to leak my IP for sure. All right, we're 3 minutes behind. I'll announce it at half past. 5 past. Share screen. Come on. I forgot how to share my screen. Oh, there we go. Okay, window, Paint, share. Okay, I actually can't look at Discord. Okay, so Pizza, can you keep an eye on Discord for me?
Yes.
While we... Okay.
Wait, say something, Pizza?
Pizza, you there?
Pizza?
I realized I need to switch mics.
Ah.
Okay, no worries. All right, I'm going to announce. I also need to share my screen in Discord. Oh my Gideon. Okay, here we go. Wait, can I even do that? Wait. If I share my screen in the Discord and then stream the Discord. Wait, I think this is working. I think this is working on both restream on YouTube and Discord.
Yeah, I can see on Discord as well.
There's a weird echo here in Discord. That's probably because you're listening to us in Discord and on the stream. So you'll have to kind of pick one. No, you're out of the stream. All right, we're off to a good start. Appreciate you guys. Same here. Oh no, there's an echo. Yeah, where's it coming from?
Is your stream? Your stream is capturing your voice as well.
Oh, wait a minute.
So just mute that stream that you got going.
All right, try now. Is it echoing now?
Well, you didn't mute the.
It is.
No, the stream, you're casting in Discord.
What do you mean?
It has a little. It's weird that I can't hear it, huh?
I'm casting a what?
In Discord, it has like a mute button for some reason.
Really?
Yeah.
God damn it. We might just have to do the Discord one for the first one and apologize and live stream it next time.
What?
Oh no. We might just have to like host it in Discord and then is it coming from another person's Discord audio?
Well, we're oh wait, maybe. Let me.
Oh, it is because we're. Oh wait, no, you're not in the stream anymore.
Oh yeah. I think my mic is picking you up, which is weird. I don't know. Oh, okay. I know why. Because we're not right. I know why. Shit. Okay, yeah, it's me.
It's you?
Yeah, it's me.
Okay.
But I got a solution.
All right, well, we'll start now. Apologies for the delay, everybody.
So the reason it's happening is Discord has a auto filter for the audio, which is why whenever typically I have you on speaker, but you can't hear yourselves through my mic because Discord filters out the audio.
Right.
But because we're doing the restream thing, Restream doesn't do that.
Okay. So has the echoing stopped then, Dr. Puzzler? Also, hello everybody on YouTube, by the way, who's listening in. We're trying to sort out a stream on both Discord and YouTube at the same time. So this is a lot more complicated than it would seem. It's fixed? Okay, perfect. All right, I'm going to just start the event. Let's just begin. Group game design. I do not want to ping everybody. Thank you very much. And then we're going to go to announcements. And then I'm going to go to at event notifications. Group game design. Starting now in event voice lounge. Oh, well, while you guys are here, let's think about a good starting point, a good mechanic to begin from. Event voice lounge. Come hang or watch us on YouTube.
Looks like YouTube would be the better. Like, just don't stream it in Discord.
That's true, but then the people who join on Discord, I don't know. All right. Notifications. For some reason, the link doesn't embed, so that's great. I got the wrong link. This is a dumpster fire. I appreciate you guys sticking it out. Copy link address. Oh, there we go. Nope, that didn't embed either. Great. Okay. Oof. Nobody's going to show up to this. Okay. Chat, Tim Carhill, hello. Self-taught game dev, yo. All right, we're gonna wait a minute. We're gonna let people in, and then we'll get going. Hello, the writer. Welcome in. How's everybody doing? This is gonna be confusing because we're streaming in both YouTube and Discord, so we'll see. Dr. Puzzle, how are your games going? You working on? You published on Steam recently, didn't you? Last I checked. At least I think you did.
Okay, am I looking at Discord chat or YouTube?
Hi, Nick. Chat? I've got YouTube and Discord up. I've split my monitor. So I'll try and keep an eye on both. But your game Rust of Corruption released in November, I think. Hi, Nick. How you doing? Self-taught game dev. Life is very confusing. Why is life very confusing, self-taught game dev? Mr. DK, hi, I'm new here. Welcome in. Welcome in.
Welcome.
I'm currently working on ports for that game and working on the concept art for my next game, The Source. I remember The Source. Hey, well done. Best of luck. It's good to see how... I'm excited to see how it's going. Okay. We'll give it a couple more minutes and then we'll just start and then people can join as we go.
People on YouTube.
Definitely not more people on YouTube.
Yeah. 17 on YouTube watching, 3 in the audience on Discord.
Yeah.
I think a bunch of people that would go on a Discord are just going to watch the YouTube.
Watch the YouTube, yeah, probably. Kay and E Southworth, welcome in. Just again reiterating this, we're trying to stream on both YouTube and Discord at the moment. This is probably going to be a dumpster fire, and we'll reiterate for the next event. But if you hear me talking to somebody who's not in the chat or whatever, then they're on the other platform. But glad everyone's having a good time. Welcome in the Discord audience, by the way. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my screen. Sorry. So this is group game design. But before we move on to group game design, I want to plug something for those of you who did or did not see in the Discord. We got this monthly challenge thing going on. The theme for this month is Cyberpunk Dragons. So if you want to partake in that, feel free to check out the monthly challenge channel in the Discord. It's really cool. There will be prizes for the winners, and we'll do the voting early February. So that's really cool. So if you haven't joined the Discord, please do. Pizza, can we get a Discord invite in the? In fact, I don't know. You should be able to invite people, right? Where do you want us? Discord or YouTube? Either. That's the flexibility of this first event. Either one's cool. It's just whichever's convenient for you. It seems more people are picking YouTube, so that's fine if you wanna hang out on YouTube.
I can invite, just let you know.
Okay, no worries.
It's disabled for me.
All right, I'll do that. So if you haven't joined the Discord, if you want to partake in the monthly challenge, you got to join the Discord. But just for the streams, it's no problem. Pizza's making me hungry.
And now that chat member said it, I want some pizza too.
Want some pizza?
Hello, Spaz.
Pizza, what is your favorite pizza? Pizza, what is your favorite pizza?
I go for basic, cheese,
Just basic.
tomato. You can't go wrong with that, and some sauce.
You can't go wrong with cheese and tomato. It's true. Welcome in, Darren. By the way, Red Panda. There's a couple of people whose names are hidden because of the way I've got my screen set up. Welcome. Okay, well we'll get chatting and we'll figure it out as we go. So I'll keep reiterating periodically, by the way, that we're streaming in both Discord and YouTube in case people get confused. So obviously a couple of people just joined the Discord. So yeah. Okay, so welcome, Chill Real. Welcome in. Welcome to group game design. So how does this work? Are we actually going to be coding live? Well, God, I wish I was good enough to do that. But no, if we were really just actually making a game live, which we could do for another stream, that would take hours. But no, what we're going to be doing here is I'm dragging on Discord, reading the announcement now. Cool. Welcome in. Welcome to the Discord. What we're going to be doing is putting our heads together and taking mechanics from existing games, our favorite mechanics, our least favorite mechanics, really kind of breaking them down and saying, okay, what don't we like about this kind of mechanic? What do we like about this one? And, can we combine them, right? If we're going to implement this kind of mechanic, what's good about it? What annoys us and what do we like and stuff like that, right? So it's just kind of like a group brainstorming session about existing game mechanics and game features and things like that. So again, just to reiterate before we begin, streaming both YouTube and Discord. So if you hear me talking to people who aren't in the chat or you're confused where they might be, they're on the other platform, probably. Or I'm just hearing voices. So take a minute and think about what is your favorite or least favorite. But we'll start with, actually, I don't know, Pizza Devious, what do you think? Should we start with favorite or least favorite?
I usually go with least favorite.
Least favorite? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're putting that on positive, right?
Oh wow, Pizza! That was some interference.
Yeah, robot.
Robot voice right there.
Yeah. So
it's still there. Oh, you're back.
Wait,
okay, so guys, have a think for a second and post in the chat or post in the chat. What is your least favorite game mechanic? Could be from a specific game. It could be a game mechanic that's good in one game and bad in another. But just have a think for a second. Which you're playing a game or you're making a game, right? And you come across preferably playing one, I suppose. You come across a game mechanic. It could be in a puzzle game, exploration game, doesn't matter, right? What is your least favorite one, right? And why does it annoy you so much? All right, post that in the chat, and we'll start from there. So the first thing we're thinking about is, where is my mouse? My handwriting is going to be absolutely awful, by the way. Least favorite mechanic, and I don't mean the guy that's going to fix your car. I mean,
we talked about durability last time too.
Oh my god, fave mechanic. Escort missions, says Nick Marr.
That's a good
durability, says Tim Garhill. Oh yeah, we did talk about that last stream. Use ChatGPT to build the game. I told AI make software engineers unnecessary, and I'm sure business people wouldn't lie. Steel flakes as a pizza topping. We got pepperoni. Escort missions, that's a good one. That's a good one. I hate escort missions as well.
Write that down. Yeah. There's a text tool, by the way.
You know what, Devious? You're not here to show me up. Okay. Where's the text tool? Oh, there is. Yes! Escort missions. Let's go. Not a fan of stamina loss. We talked about that last time, didn't we?
Make the words bigger.
Yeah, I will. Escort missions, we're gonna up that 22. We're gonna go even higher. 28. Right. And it just deleted itself. Alright, that's great. Escort missions. What else we got? Quick time events. I think we talked briefly about that last stream. Faster than walking, slower than running, which ties into escort missions.
Oh man, we got so many.
Slower than running, backtracking, QTEs, quick time events. Right. Stamina loss. We kind of talked about that briefly last time we did this. The Last of Us multiplayer crafting. It's really annoying. Please make the font Times New Roman. I can indeed. Where's Times New Roman?
What's wrong with Calibri?
I think I can just search for times. My inexperience with paint is showing. There we go. The Last of Us multiplayer crafting. It's so annoying. Why? I'm actually not familiar with that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that either.
You're not familiar with that?
I don't find it in the multiplayer. I liked it personally, but I can see why people wouldn't like it.
Well, how does it work?
It's like you collect things in. Correct me if I'm wrong. You collect things in the game to craft like grenades, smoke stuff. So all the stuff that you get whilst fighting the other team, you have to craft to then fight the other team, kind of thing.
Oh, interesting. So it's kind of like the. Okay, so it's the campaign crafting, but in multiplayer. Is that right?
Yeah, they only had it in the first one, in Last of Us 1.
Okay. So crafting in multiplayer, basically.
How's that? Is it? Do you have to like go to a table?
It's competitive multiplayer too. We should specify because crafting in multiplayer sounds like Minecraft, which is pretty good. But we want to think crafting in. Is it PvP multiplayer? Pizza.
Yeah, PvP.
Yeah, crafting in PvP multiplayer. We've got random spawns that are not spawn. The Last of Us crafting isn't so bad. It's pretty quick as you're being shot at.
Yeah, you have to do it whilst you're like in game. You can't go to a place. So like, say if you're like crouched behind a location, you have to like craft bandages to like help you out and stuff like that.
Interesting. So Mr. Doctor Octopus says Fortnite. Is that just a game mechanic you don't like? Is that
Fortnite.
Unskippable cutscenes before repeatable events. Yes.
I agree with that.
I don't know why anybody does that, but we'll actually dive into that in a second. Before repeated events or repeatable events, I guess. You don't have to repeat it. Bless you, Devious. Okay. So why let's just quick breakdown of a couple of these and then we'll kind of deep dive into one or two of them specifically. So Devious, how do I get out of this without making it disappear?
Oh, you just click off screen. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So why don't we like escort missions? Right? If we're thinking about escort missions for a minute, why don't we like escort missions? Right? Is it true that we don't like escort missions? Is that actually just one person?
It's not that we don't like escort missions, it's how they're designed that we don't like.
Okay, so what is it about escort missions that we don't like? Break it
down. Basically, it all comes down to the person you're escorting becoming the problem. So either the AI is stupid and they die easily, or they get in your way in some way, like, or they're just slow, I guess. Yeah, that's usually what it always is.
Okay, so it can kind of come down to stupid AI, you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that true? What do we think? Do we have second guesses on second thoughts on that? Sluggish, boring usually. Resident Evil 4 is half escort mission and it's still good. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, they did it well.
I think sometimes it's the failsafe, right, as well. Because sometimes the failsafe is like the moment. Like I was playing Yakuza 0 and there's a section in that which is escort. And it's like they have like this health meter that you have to like defend against. And sometimes like the moment that goes depleted, you have to like start like relatively pretty far back, which can be annoying, especially when like it takes a while to get to like point to point. So like for instance, in the game, you get from say point A to point B, and you have to defeat maybe like 3 or 4 mobs of like enemies, and because it takes so while to get to like the final point, like if you get halfway and like die, for instance, or the character dies, then you have to start right at the beginning, which can get a bit annoying. And sometimes as well, it's just how long it takes for those escort missions to happen. Sometimes they're a bit too long.
Yeah. Tim Carter's saying a lot of these mechanics are time consuming. Yeah, that's exactly, Peter. That's what you were just saying, isn't it? Escort missions, stupid AI, time consuming. They tend to be more cumbersome than fluid, and part of me thinks though that isn't that the point, right? Isn't it the point to have, if you're trying to escort something, well, why does something need to be escorted? Why can't it just move independently? Well, usually it's for some annoying reason in video games, of course. That it's the devs are going to go out of their way to intentionally make whatever it is that you're escorting cumbersome and annoying to move with, because otherwise it would just do it by itself. Is that a valid point? What do we think? Is that
yes
actually nonsense?
No, it's cumbersome in an annoying way because of the way it's designed, but I wouldn't say that's the purpose. I mean, well, it's okay. So how I see it is, think of an escorted, the person you're escorting or the thing you're escorting as a block, just a block, like an object.
Right.
Now apply the logic of how that block works and like what you think in escort missions in games. So if you look at Resident Evil, think of it as like a block that you can move around, but it's a functional block that you can carry around and move to do things. Now you look at other games and think of that block just like moving around you and then like running in front of you when you try and shoot. And getting shot. It's annoying. So think of the
Davis is about to experience a nationwide alert.
Oh, maybe I just muted. I didn't read it.
Doha's saying escort mission where you rescue a prisoner in Warframe is the best. You can just run to the extraction and you don't need to worry about the AI. He will just teleport to you. Does that, Doha? I'm just curious. Does that count for you, in your opinion, as an escort mission? Is that truly a good escort mission? I don't know. That doesn't seem like much of a challenge.
Well, if you apply the block thing, let's imagine that character is a block. So basically, I wouldn't count that as an escort mission. I count that because the escort has to be damaged in some way. Okay. A good example. There's a game. Oh wow, I just forgot the name of the game. Okay, so there's a game where there's a cart, right, and the cart's moving. Unrailed or Derailed. Yeah, the little little pixel game where you play as animals and there's a train moving, and you have to gather materials and build the tracks. That's essentially an escort mission.
Right.
But it's fun. Like, a lot of people enjoy it.
Tim Garhill, that's a really good point. Escort missions are time consuming and the speed can be out of the player's control regardless of skill, whereas grinding, picking up 50 flowers for a profession is a choice. Right, so that's actually a really good point that Tim's just made there. So perhaps what's so infuriating about escort missions, and Davis, I'll let you carry on just a second, do apologize, is that they don't, they're sort of a how would you describe that? Like, a great filter, or not a filter, a great equalizer, right? So no matter what kind of play style you have, no matter what kind of skill level you have, no matter who you are, it forces everybody to play in a particular way, to play at a particular speed, right? To engage with the game in a way that they may not necessarily enjoy doing. I like that point. I think that's a good point. Devious, back to you though. What were you saying?
All right. So is it derailed? Let me check real quick. I should have did this. Derailed game. Maybe it's unrailed. Oh, it is. Yeah, it is derailed. Thing.
It is derailed. Okay, that's cool. It's good to know.
Well,
the escort part in Half-Life 2 Episode 1 is pretty bad because you got to do it so many times. Yeah, well, that's another thing, isn't it? It's, if they fail and they're annoying to do, they're just... I can't think of a single example of Unrailed 2, says Tim. Is that what you're thinking, Devious?
okay, yeah, it's unrailed with an exclamation point.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't think of a single. Well, let's try this. Right. So maybe Devious is what you were doing, but can anybody think of? Well, we've already had a couple, right? Somebody said Resident Evil 4 did escorting well. Can somebody explain that? I'm not familiar with Resident Evil 4 super well. Devious,
So
please
the
let
whole
me know.
meme with Ashley. Yeah. Okay, so there's a later part in Resident Evil 4 where you have Ashley like as a companion basically. You're escorting her throughout the entire game. And she can do different things. You also play as her sometimes. Like she goes
Right.
into like a hole, crawls under, and then you play as her. But you can't attack her or anything, so she becomes a helpless thing, and so you're just avoiding enemies and stuff, which is a great
Right.
like change of pace because it goes from like shooty bam bam to like you can't hurt the enemy anymore. Well, you can, but you gotta like find specific things to like throw at the enemy. Anyways, yeah, you're carrying her around and stuff, and you hide her too. Let's say like you want to go do something real quick, you tell her like go hide in this thing, and then that's how you like keep her safe.
Right.
And that's basically the entire part of that. And it's great. It's great. It works.
Is that so it works? Okay, so why do you think it works then, given we've talked so much about how escort missions are time consuming, they're cumbersome? Is it because Ashley isn't as stupid as an AI bot?
Well, it's because she doesn't get in the way.
She doesn't get in the way. That's a good point.
In a sense, sometimes. Okay, so basically what you have to do is you have to avoid the enemy grabbing her and carrying her away. And if they get too far, it basically does like a little cutscene of them going through like a door or something, and then you die or you lose because they got away with it.
Right.
You can while they're carrying her though, you basically shoot the enemy and they'll drop her. So if you think of her as like just a block, think of it like you're carrying around this robot or machine thing in it, and you can like hide it to keep the enemies from getting it. But if you just leave it out, sometimes the enemies can just grab it and just carry it off. And then so yeah, that's how I'm viewing it as in the mechanic way.
Right. My understanding was that a lot of people hated the escorting Resident Evil 4. Well, so we may bump into this problem, and we may have already bumped into this problem where somebody who thinks the Resident Evil 4 escort mission is good is somebody else thinking that is countered by somebody else thinking it's terrible. Which I feel like escort missions are one of those things where you either love them or hate them, and I think most people tend to hate them. But
clarification. Clarification. It's good in the sense of escort missions as a whole. It as for like, does it need it? Should it be in there? You can that can be argued. Like you can say it didn't really need it, but since it has it, their implementation of it is good.
I also think as well when you compare it to other escort missions in games, it's better, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot worse. And also I think the failsafe isn't particularly bad because all you have to do is take down the person that's carrying Ashley, as opposed to like having to like stop them from attacking and them having their own health meter, because you're already balancing your own health as opposed to Ashley as well. But in Resident Evil 4, all you have to do is worry about them picking Ashley up and then taking
So are you how bad is the punishment in Resident Evil 4?
Like, what do you mean?
Does it if you fail, how far back do you have to go?
I think it depends on which version you're playing, because I think they do like an autosave thing, and it's more lenient with the newer one, I believe. It's been a while since I watched the newer one, but
so I'm just gonna put here. Give me a second. So I think if what can we take away from escort missions? We'll move on to another one in a second. So I think we should think about punishment. That's going to be a big one, right? Well, there's a lot of things here. Oh god, I've grabbed too much there.
If you see the square where it says select that's highlighted, if you select the little drop down, it'll all the way on the bottom. It says
transparent selection.
Yeah.
Boom. Devious, an absolute expert in paint. Let's go. So yeah, we want to consider punishment. Right. I think that if you're doing an escort mission and then the player fails and they have to go back 20 minutes, right? Nobody wants to do that. Right. If you only have to go back to, if there's frequent checkpointing, if a failure doesn't necessarily mean a failure, like Ashley being picked up and maybe, It's not super punishing. It's easy to get her back, etc. There are certainly ways to do escort missions that are positive. However, generally the consensus we're getting from the community right now is that they aren't brilliant. But okay, so how can we improve escort missions? Devious, if you were going to put an escort mission in your game for whatever reason, what would you make sure you looked at? What would be important to you to make sure?
Have a specific kind of control over the AI. So like I was the unrailed example.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine instead of a train, it was Ashley running along a path, and you had to build the path for her. Like you have a bit more control of. Well, I guess the gameplay is focused around just that.
Right.
But
control over the AI is what you're saying.
Yeah, in a sense. But no. Okay, so it makes. It really also depends on the game and how the other mechanics work. Okay, so you need a way to keep her from being in danger, because that's a really good thing that Resident Evil does. But you still need to be able to. So one of the things you can do is you can hide her, go clear an area, then come back for her and bring her through that area.
Right, which is control over the AI, isn't it? Right. Yeah. Nick's just saying there's an easy fix for escort missions. Make it a branching path. If the player fails, then they live with that consequence and adjust the story accordingly. That's a really good idea. That's a really good idea.
That's the problem.
You can't always do that. That's true. But
it's a lot of work as well. But it is a fix. It is a fix.
Yeah, it is a fix. It is a path you can choose.
So basically, moving resetting from escort.
Silent Hill does that actually. The new one. Spoilers. But I think the old one did it too. But if she dies, you no longer have to. Oh yeah, that's another good example of a really bad escort mission. Resident Evil 4, The Room. If anyone's familiar with that, that's one of the most hated escort missions. Because like half of the game is just escorting this woman, and how much damage? Spoilers by the way for Silent Hill 4. How much damage she takes affects the ending. Obviously, if she dies, then she dies. But if you go to the end of the game and she's taking a lot of damage, there's a mechanic where she slowly walks towards the middle, and if she's taken more damage, she'll be closer. She'll start off closer to her death.
Right.
And then her alone, her AI, she keeps getting in the way. You can hit her. That's another thing. You shouldn't be able to hit the escort. It makes sense in the world, but that's like one of the biggest things, like Ashley getting in front of sniper rifle.
Somebody already said that as a meme, yeah.
Yeah.
Chur, I'm gonna call them. So there's time travel mechanics. If Ashley dies, you move backwards in time, and there's fail forward mechanics, which is what we've been talking about, right? For branching paths. If the failure is too harsh, people will want to reset. So that's the downside to failing forward, right? Is that if the consequence of your loss, even if the game moves forward, is so great, people are just going to reset anyway. That's almost an interesting way of forcing people to be less annoyed with resetting, because they're kind of doing it by choice, right? If you choose to reset the checkpoint, are you as annoyed at the game than if the game had forced you to reset the checkpoint? Arguably no. So maybe that's a subtle way you can sort of force people to go back without them getting so mad at you as the dev.
Yeah.
Spazbo.
Lane.
Sorry, Devious.
He corrected me on that.
Okay.
But still, yeah. If that's annoying, the ending part, the ending boss.
Okay, so lame to throw that at people without letting them know, though. That's the thing. Yeah, well, that's often a problem. Is not good signposting. So let's think of some of these other ones then. So faster than walking, slower than running. So that's obviously something that's just a pet peeve, right? And it often comes as a result of escort missions. That often comes during escort missions. That's something, funnily enough, nobody brought up when saying, what can we do to improve escort missions? We need to shoot people who code the people that the AI that you're escorting to be faster than you if you're walking, and then slower than you if you're running. That's just that's bad. Backtracking. So we kind of touched on that a little bit down here with resetting and things like that. Backtracking is an interesting one. Can anyone think of an example of backtracking that you don't mind doing?
I mean, Dark Souls.
Dark Souls? Okay.
Well, to a point.
Expand.
Obviously, all backtracking would be gets to a point where
Metroidvanias.
Metroidvania would be a good one, or just Metroid in general.
Right. So let's just grab this and move it out of here, so we can talk about backtracking for a bit. So okay, so we've said that backtracking isn't so annoying in Metroidvanias, and you said Dark Souls, Devil May Cry, says Nick, or Devil May Cry 3 or 4, Metroid backtracking. Well, Metroid backtracking is interesting, isn't it? Because are you really backtracking? Maybe physically, but the reason you're often backtracking in Metroidvanias is because you've uncovered some new information or some new mechanic. Often, right? It's less information and it's more an ability, some kind of gun or wings or something, and you're going back. Kind of, right? You're kind of actually going forward to a place you've already been with this new thing that will allow you to beat it. So,
yeah,
not sure if that counts.
That's
In fact, it's a clever way of getting around it.
But
sorry, yeah. No, that was done.
Oh, yep. Shit, I forgot my point. So yeah, that's what makes that backtracking good, is the fact that it goes to something else, that it makes a difference. That's why the shortcuts in Dark Souls are so good, because when you get the shortcut, you get to skip a lot of the backtracking.
Mm. Oh, I see. Yes, right. Interesting. You're not talking about like the end of a dungeon, like in Skyrim. You know, in Skyrim, when you have to go through a dungeon the long way, and then when you get to the end of it, there's some secret exit at the end that was locked from the other side before. Yeah. That's not the same thing.
No, it's different. It's not even.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's backtracking.
No, technically. But I would say any kind of game where exploration is a focus and backtracking is rewarded with new things in old areas. So, yeah. Dr. Puzzler, you've hit the nail on the head. That almost brings the backtracking discussion to an end, really. But that's a really good point. Yeah. So when people are backtracking, you really want to make sure that when a player has got to the end of a dungeon, let's just say, for example, or an area, they are rewarded for doing so in a way that they feel like going back on themselves is actually moving forward. Now, this is really interesting because I don't know how many of you have played Outer Wilds, and we recently did a short about that because I've been in an Outer Wilds phase recently. I played it a long time ago, but was recently watching a streamer play it all in one sitting, like 12 hours long. And they do something very interesting. The premise of the game is that there's a time loop, and after 22 minutes, the time loop resets. And most of the paths that you could take in the game kind of end roughly every 22 minutes. So you kind of pick one thing that you're going to go and explore, and then the loop ends and you go back, right? But sometimes they don't take 22 minutes. And so you kind of get to the end of this path that you've decided to explore. I'm trying to be vague because I don't want to spoil it. You've kind of received some new things, some new information, but it doesn't feel like it justifies it always, right? So basically my point just being that you want to be careful with what reward you're giving or reward you're giving your players for doing a particular thing. You don't want to overdo it. This is, we're stepping into game balancing territory here, but you want to, Dr. Puzzler made the good point. You want to make it feel like your players aren't going back on themselves for the sake of it, but they've actually accomplished something by going to where they went. Okay, so we kind of touched on stamina loss before. In the last event we did, we can come back to these in future events, but we'll try and stick to new ones for now. What did we conclude about that? That was really funny. Didn't we just say like we should just get rid of all stamina loss?
No.
I think we ended up saying no, it wasn't that.
There are arguments, but it depends on the game. But
right.
There are arguments for and against having stamina. There are situations.
Right. Well, of course, yeah. But I remember we were talking about how a lot of us play with cheats and just they get rid of stamina bars, and it just makes the game more fun. So, but anyway, yeah. Crafting and PvP multiplayer. So that's interesting. I don't know if that's something worth talking about too much because I don't know how many of us are making PvP multiplayer games. But we can do that. Random spawn. No, Devious, go ahead. What were you going to say?
You can boil that down to crafting during action.
Interesting.
Basically, what that is, because that's the problem that I'm seeing. I don't know how that works in Last of Us, but that seems to be the problem, is that you're crafting in action. So like in the middle of combat.
You do that in Last of Us.
What's up?
Yeah, you do that in the Last of Us multiplayer. You crafting whilst in battle.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of the pros to the one in Last of Us is that when you crafting, it's pretty quick, so you don't have to like wait too long to craft. And also, the way the game is designed, you're hiding behind obstacles anyway. So you're planning to, oh, I'm gonna hide behind this obstacle. You can see enemies approach you whilst you're crafting, and then you can also cancel the crafting if you need to go into battle or whatever, which makes it less obnoxious kind of thing.
So
Sorry, Church just said it might have been crafting in a specific PvP multiplayer game. We were talking about The Last of Us specifically, just to clarify.
Yeah.
So yes, I carry on, Davis. Yeah.
So the design philosophy I think they're going for is that it's similar to drinking the Estus Slack in Dark Souls. Not to keep bringing that up, but part of the coming. So part of the thing with that is whenever you're doing an action, the design philosophy is that you're doing an action, but you're vulnerable during that action. Is basically what it is. So whenever you're crafting, you're vulnerable, but you're vulnerable to gain something out of it. So you make yourself vulnerable, so you get a item or whatever, a weapon.
Right.
And I understand that. It's like let's say you're playing Gears of War and you're hiding behind a wall, but you had to do something to like the reload thing whenever in Gears of War. Whenever you're reloading and you jam it, you might need to hide or something. But you take that risk, you make yourself vulnerable, or the chance of being vulnerable. But anyways, yeah. So I get that design philosophy of why it works or why they did it.
Just to summarize, then, so you're saying that when talking about crafting PvP multiplayer, the philosophy is that crafting
makes
something
you vulnerable.
It makes you vulnerable. Something that historically in games, freezes the game. Right, you go into like a menu or whatever, suddenly it doesn't do that anymore. And actually, if you want to make something, you have to risk vulnerability in order to move forward. So that's a really good really good point there. Risk becoming vulnerable in order to make progress, we'll say.
And this doesn't just apply to PvP multiplayer. It can apply to just like if you're playing Halo or something, PvE stuff.
Right. PvE stuff, yeah. So are you guys going to turn this into a course project? That's interesting. Ethereal, what do you mean by that? But yes, this can be applied to PvE as well. So actually, we'll change that. I'm gonna
once you put it in
also, I was just going to mention
go ahead.
The nature of like Last of Us is relatively slow in terms of combat. It's slower pace because your health, like I think it's like a few shots and you're pretty much down. So you don't want to like run around the map really quickly. So you have essentially time to craft, right? Whereas if you're talking in a game that is a lot quicker and faster pace, that kind of stuff would go against it, because even when you want to take like those extra like 5 seconds to decide what you want to craft and then craft. And if it's going fast, then like people can just like run up to you and take you out. Whereas in a game that's slower pace, then that helps.
Yeah, that's a good point, Peter. If you're considering live action crafting, we'll say, right, real time crafting, you want to. I can imagine how imagine if that was the case in like Call of Duty, right, where it's so fast paced. There's people flying around everywhere, sliding around, doing this, that, and the other. You need the time to consider what you're going to make and then make it. I mean, it just wouldn't work, right?
You couldn't do that in Call of Duty.
I have a question.
Exactly. Yeah, go ahead, Davis. Yeah.
In the newer Call of Duties, is there ever a point where you do an action, like you're doing like a UAV, not UAV, but like one of those special things, where you have to sit somewhere and like it has to load up, and if you get shot, that's basically what it is. That's basically what this is.
They do exist, but I think it's different. When there's still no choice involved. There's no thinking time. It's you've got a missile. If you want to use the missile, you have to freeze and then pull out your laptop and use it. And you know immediately what that missile is going to do. You don't have to think, okay, I'm going to craft a Molotov because I need area control. Because by the time you've thought that, suddenly you don't even need area control anymore because the game is so fast paced that like it's just constantly changing. But yeah, we'll move on because this is something I don't know how many of us.
It's a fun one though. I really like this.
It is fun, yeah, and we can certainly come back to it and other ones like it. Unskippable cutscenes before repeatable events. I mean, do we even need to talk about this one?
Unskippable.
Just don't make them unskippable. I was thinking if your brainstorming works out, you could turn it into a tutorial course. Well, look, yeah, I'd love to. We could we have all of these will be on YouTube. By the way, all of our previous live streams and everything are on YouTube. So if you ever want to revisit this stuff, it's all up there immediately. But yeah, we certainly could do that. That's not out of the question. We're also going to bring instructors on and things like that as well to help with specific areas. So if you guys want a group game design specifically in this genre of game or this or that, we've got plenty of tutors who would be more than willing to come on and talk to you guys about, partake in the discussion regarding specific genres and specific things, which I think would be really cool. So can anyone think of a reason why developers make this? Right?
Story.
What is the stories one? Right? Why do unskippable cutscenes before a repeatable event?
It's basically all to. So if there's like important information that you need to know, either for gameplay or just for story wise, they're gonna do this. Or if you look at like Final Fantasy, some of those are unskippable.
Chair says, are there any legitimate reasons? Yeah, loading time seems like one, right?
I think loading time, especially in older games where you see it more of a thing, right?
Yeah,
it's mostly down to the loading aspect.
So,
for like modern games,
genuinely, I don't know if I can think of any other ones.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Interestingly, Devious, I don't know if you were going to make this point or not.
What?
I haven't seen many unskippable cutscenes in modern games, and maybe that's because of the decreased loading times. Maybe that's because of push for player agency and things like that. What do you think?
I think they started getting rid of them when they realized that it was really annoying people. So that might be the reason why.
Well, I don't understand how it didn't annoy the devs when they're making it. Why did that only come out later when they realize, oh, this is annoying people? When you're play testing your own game, I guess you probably don't watch the cutscenes that much when you're play testing your own games. Maybe they had skip buttons. That's a good point, Chair.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it makes sense that they did because that's a. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they did. Yeah, go ahead.
Has some airship liftoff from some point on, whenever you get off to a quest. If you could expand on that, Hector, a little bit. I don't follow that completely.
Are they talking about? Go ahead, Pizza.
I was going to say, if it is down to like loading screens, then it's something that you can't really avoid, right? Especially back in the day when it's like required. It's one of those things where like now we take it for granted, right? In a way where we can able to like skip cutscenes and stuff. But back then, if they weren't able to do that, you just gotta like, it's one of those like cons, I guess, to development at that point. Things that you just have to do.
That's true. Sorry, Divas, what were you going to say? Spazbo 4 says, just unskippable cutscenes in general are annoying. I like to replay games from the beginning and not being able to skip the cutscenes can get a bit annoying. Yeah, but like we're saying, I think it's probably. I would bet a small amount of money, and I'm not going to. I don't encourage betting or gambling, but I would bet a small amount of money that nearly all cases of unskippable cutscenes in all games are because they needed some kind of loading time. I don't know any developers who would enforce that. I mean, maybe. Who knows?
It was what Heckard was talking about with the balloon thing.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so that I can see how that's annoying. It's only 10 seconds, but if it's like constantly happening, you're like, because you're already readied yourself and you want to get into the action, you want to start playing. But then it does this like little cutscene of a thing taking off. A lot of games do that.
Yeah.
It's
and that's okay.
That's
more, right?
Yeah. The shorter the better when they do those, because they do that to convey that you're going somewhere. It's kind of like it makes sense. Because it's like a lore explanation kind of thing. Like, oh, how's he getting here? Well, he goes to the ship and it takes off, or he gets on a bug and he rides off. Like in Hollow Knight.
Ethereal says dynamic loading makes cutscenes less necessary.
Also, Also, you've got in-game cutscenes now, so as you're already in the game, it's already like loaded at that point. Whereas like a lot of earlier games, they were using like pre-made like cutscenes, right? So that's probably part of it as well.
Yeah, like
That's a good point
War
too. Yeah,
thing.
and advancements in technology, they moved from pre-rendered. I think there was I remember in 2012 when Call of Duty Black Ops 2 came out. I don't know if anyone else remembers this. Maybe there are other examples of this, but I remember that Call of Duty forever switching from pre-rendered to in-game. Not only because I think it saves time or whatever loading screens, but because the MP4 files got leaked, or the video files, whatever they were using, would be data mined and leaked like day one whenever the game came out. So obviously another downside. Again, probably not something that we as lowly indie devs have to worry about, but interesting point nonetheless. Okay. So I think I find it interesting. It's interesting to me that I think a lot of these are maybe a victim of their time, or they're limited by the time frame that they're in. I'm not sure. I feel like modern days, some of these things that we've said here, escort missions, faster than walking, slower than running, unskippable cutscenes, things like that. These they've kind of moved past these, which has been nice to see. I don't know. Maybe you feel like
in defense of the faster than walking, slower than running thing, yeah, that's something that's really hard to balance. So the reason you're faster than them when walking.
How was that? Yeah, how is that hard to balance?
Well, actually, I guess the faster than walking part, but the slower than running makes a lot more sense. So you want them to be slower when you're running because you want to be able to run ahead of them, so you can kill anything in front of them, to clear the way, and then you come back to them. The faster than walking one is that's the more problematic one, I guess.
There's no middle ground.
Yeah, but the reason they're faster than you when you're walking, I think that's what they're trying to say, right? Yeah. The reason for that is oh my god, I just had it. I just forgot. Damn it. Oh my god, I just forgot it. Oh. Okay.
Beavis is desperately trying to justify this.
Not justify, but at least have some kind of defense for it.
Yeah, some kind of reason. Something. Okay, here's another question. Let's move on. Beavis, if you remember, we'll come back to it. So instead of just asking you guys, okay, what are your most favorite game mechanics, or sorry, what are your favorite game mechanics? What kind of game mechanics have you guys really enjoyed coding yourselves or implementing yourselves? Because I for one, would really want to incorporate some kind of mechanic, like a grappling hook, for example. I'm a big fan of grappling hook mechanics in video games. Upon trying that, discovering how difficult it was at the time, anyway, I haven't tried in a while. I just hated it. Just suddenly gave me the ick for grappling hooks, right? So I'm just curious, what do you guys, in your coding journeys, in your game dev journeys, whether it's been on one of our courses or otherwise, right? What have you really enjoyed, making? I think, getting a really good, making games has given me a really good, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say it's given me a respect, a newfound respect for just simple moving, a simple movement system, left, right, jump, crouch, whatever, right, is now really fun to get right, because I don't know, it's just satisfying. It's the easiest and the most satisfying thing for me to do. So that's something that I was surprised by in my journey. Auto saves, says Nick. Really? Could you elaborate on that at all? Did you? That does sound like fun. I don't know why. I'm already sold by you, Nick. Actually,
I also like the idea of like saving like manually, like having like different save files. Like that's a cool aspect to me. Like for the game that I'm working on now, I want to have different save files to have like different profiles and characters. I think I like that, even though it's so like when I used to game, I felt that was very like generic in a way. It was like not quite important, but now because I'm working on it, it's a lot more interesting to me. Seeing where they are located and stuff like that.
Yeah. Enabling physics, says Chair, is something I constantly have fun with. Often it's just as simple as adding a component, though. I don't know if this isn't necessarily a mechanic per se, but I do love building and programming UI and graphical accessibility settings. I agree with that too. I think coding a good menu and a good pause menu and a good good UI system is really fun. Actually, speaking of which, our next event is on UI deep dive, so pay attention. Come along, please. That'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's been really good. I think enabling physics. Chuck, could you elaborate on that a little bit as well? Like, what do you mean by that? Just generally adding like a physics system, like a swinging something or other or whatever. I wish I could make it that one, but I have to wait the day. Oh no, Dr. Puzzle, rest in peace. We'll do another one, I'm sure. I like the ability to burn a spider web. You guys had it in one of your courses. I found many uses for it. Yeah, I know that course well, actually. I've used a lot of footage from that in other things. But yeah, burning spider webs, like clearing pathways, that's really fun. That's really satisfying. Found many uses for it. Ethereal, could you, what other kind of uses did you find for that? That's maybe other people might not have thought about. Not sure how to elaborate, says Chair. No reason. For some reason, many people in game dev chats seem to complain a lot about doing UI, though. I
love UI.
That's interesting. Maybe we'll talk about that for a second. We're not limited to mechanics necessarily. It is hard. And that's probably the reason why people complain. Right? It's hard to get right. It's finicky. It's not as fun oftentimes, right? Because it's not
yourself, dude.
But okay, dude.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
You sons of, but yeah, that's okay. Fair enough. Some people love it, some people hate it. Physics was a good one, says Nick. I did that for a flashbang effect that popped the grenade apart. That's really cool.
I was gonna say, in regards to Nick's, like the recent Counter-Strike game, like if you throw a smoke, you can like shoot through it and it creates like holes and stuff. And I love that so much. Like that's such an interesting like addition to like how smoke grenades work, right, in like multiplayer games.
Yeah,
and it adds that extra bit of like dynamic stuff that I like.
Yeah, that's true. I've been keeping up a lot with the Counter-Strike 2 and just the Source 2 engine in general. There's a lot of really cool things they're doing, which is really nice to see. When you're really good with a good UI toolkit, it can be fun, especially if it's intuitive. I do enjoy. Okay, just a show of hands here, by the way. Frozen Alex, welcome in. It's been a while. But what was I saying?
Something about.
Just lost my train of thought there.
Yeah.
I was saying, just a show of hands. That's it. Show of hands. Who just type in chat whether you do or don't enjoy UI, right? UI design, UI coding. It could be anything UI. Do you enjoy it? Is it something you leave till the end, right? In your game development, is it something you just leave to the polish stage? What do you like and what don't you like about it?
So for me, the reason
Dr. Puzzle's taking the show of hands, literally. God damn it. Sorry, I meant actually type in the type in. Sorry, Devious. Yeah, what were you saying?
Oh yeah. So the reason I love working on UI is just the. I don't even know how to explain it. Well, the design aspect of it, like. I don't know. I guess it's just the machining of it. Yeah, I don't know how to explain this. Oh wow, I just love it. Yeah. Just when I'm coding it, I'm like in the zone.
Coding of it?
Go ahead.
Yeah. UI is fun to make, says Nathaniel. Ethereal loves UI design. Hey, people here seem to be taking the majority of it. They like UI. It's a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. I think. My 2 cents. I think it's fun because it's you get more. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I'm just stumbling through my words here. I think UI design can be fun when you. It's quick feedback, right? You can, and there's pros and cons to this, right? But you can, let's say you've got like 4 icons on screen. You've got like a health bar, you've got a stamina bar, you've got an ammo counter. I don't know, like 4 little things. You can put them in any corner. You can put them in this place, that place, the other place. Oh, what looks good, what doesn't? It's quick feedback, and it's fun to do, right? And I think there are certainly aspects of it that I just said that I didn't like UI design, but we'll dive into this in a second. Actually, I'm just getting a feel for what chat thinks.
Yeah, I'm curious.
It's more relaxing as well.
Yeah, it is relaxing.
Sorry, Peter. What did you say? It's relaxing.
Yeah, like when I make UI, like even like just like alone the buttons and stuff, it's a lot more therapeutic than like coding because it takes not less effort. Because I'm not saying that UI is easier, but in terms of like the process, a lot of what you do for the first button is the same for the second and the third and so on. Same for animation. A lot of stuff is a lot easier for me to do as opposed to the coding side of things and other aspects. So it's a lot more chill. Like I'll put some music on, maybe a podcast, and then I'll just like work on the UI stuff. I find it a lot more chill, more relaxing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. No, that's for sure. Yeah, heck, it's saying also think about UX, which should be a prominent thing about game UIs. Ethereal Region says it's a different way to express yourself. That's a beautiful way of putting it. UI is, in a way that almost you don't find anywhere else in the game design process, arguably, right? What's our least favorite UI element in games? Right? What can we think of anything that bothers us when you're playing a game? I guess coding. We'll get to the coding side of it.
Wait, when you're playing it or when you're making it?
When you're playing a game, it's two very different things, right? When you're playing games, right? What UI annoys you the most? Would you say? Different UI elements.
Bad navigation.
Bad navigation?
Yeah. I played some games where just going through the menu is just like why? Like why is this designed the way it is? That's the most annoying thing. Especially because I love UI and it's like, how could you do this to your child? Like that kind of thing.
I would say when it's unreadable, like not necessarily unreadable, but when it's like when the color of the font is like not necessarily like hidden from the background, but it's very close to that point, right? That's when I can be. And then I think another one for UI, it's mostly like just like when you're like interacting with the UI, when it's not like the feedback isn't there, like the game juice. So like if you're hovering over a button, I like to have that button like go a bit larger, or the texture change, or there's a little icon next to the button to indicate that that's what I've selected on, like that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
I like that.
Man, no feedback is so annoying. Like if you hover over a button and there's no indication that you're hovering over that button, that just annoys me so much because it's like it doesn't feel like a button. It just feels like another aspect of the visuals.
Yeah. And it also feels like it's not interactable, right? At that point, it feels like it's within the actual like background itself. So if you have the button like change as you're interacting with it, it feels like it adds an extra dimension to the UI.
Yeah, people are saying good. Dead Space has some great UI. Yeah, we'll talk about implementing a UI into the actual game. Like Dead Space did a really good job. Metro Exodus did a good job with this. Interesting, K&E. We'll get to this. UI that cannot be moved to match the player's style. I think this is a very recent thing. Please, people, give me examples and correct me if I'm wrong. But Black Ops 6 came out recently, and that was a big something new that they brought to the table for the Call of Duty franchise, is that the UI is basically completely customizable. You can put the minimap wherever you want. You can turn everything off. You can put health bars on. You can do this. You can do that. You do the other. I'm surprised that didn't happen earlier in game development. To be honest,
it's a lot of work.
It is a lot more work. That's true.
A lot of work to do that.
When you could just slap one on and be forced people to be done with it. Painful UI is a problem, says Cher. Color choices that hurt. Mauler says it can be a good challenge since you don't want to give people information overload or distract the user too much. Sometimes minimal UIs can be best, but it really depends. Yeah, of course, it always depends on what the game is. But overly crowded stuff, down. Overly crowded, bad. Get rid of everything you that's not absolutely necessary, and then get rid of what's absolutely necessary. I bet you can find stuff.
Get rid of one of the most annoying things is when there's an element in the way it looks that doesn't do anything but looks like it should. Like when somebody puts those little bars going up and down.
That's a great one. Yeah,
I hate that so much because it's just like, you could like replace that with some actual like readouts, like something that's useful. Like even if you can't like read it as a player, you can like at least do that. I don't know. It's just more noise to have noise I get it, but I really don't like it. Like it's a thing in the corner spinning around. It's like, what is that? What's the point of this?
Yeah.
Like when you open
Yeah.
up a computer panel, every button, everything you see has a function.
Mm. Yeah.
And when it
Why
doesn't,
do you
it's
think?
annoying. Go ahead.
Chat. Why do we think bad UI exists? Right. If we all have nitpicky problems with UI, if we all, we can all probably look at a UI in any video game and pick 10 things that we don't like about it. Is it because it's one of the most subjective things in the game development process? So did I say subjective? Yeah, so subjective things in the game dev process. Is it because it's left to the last minute most of the time? What do we think? Why do we think bad UI actually exists?
I just want to add to that. So for instance, Cyberpunk 2077, one of my, and I can't believe this wasn't the first thing I mentioned. I don't like when on console, not PC, but console specifically, when the UI has a cursor as if it's a PC, and I have to move the analog stick as if it's a mouse rather than just being able to select. And I would say the reason for that would be that maybe it was made on PC initially, and it was just they didn't have time to be able to,
to convert it.
On that point,
but it's one of my main pet peeves.
On that point, Destiny does that, and I really like how they did it. It just feels nice.
That's a good point. Yeah, Destiny had a good one, but Pizza, on the whole, I agree with you. And again, guys, if you're enjoying this UI conversation next event, we're doing a UI deep dive. We're really going to be pulling up some visuals on the screen. We're going to be pulling it apart. We're going to be really talking more about this. So we'll kind of come off UI in a minute to end on something else. But Sher says bad UI exists because UI is hard. Once again, we all know this. You need to know what you want to do. That's the hard part, and then how to do it. It's true, and Dr. Puz is just saying it's just incredibly subjective, right? And Nick's saying bad UI isn't specific to game dev. Exactly. Yeah, it's one of those things. It's fun. It's easy. It's almost like going to someone's house or apartment or something, right? Everybody has their own tastes in decor design and wallpaper color and things like that. And sometimes you go to somebody's house or apartment, and it's just like, oh my god! By the way, this was not my choice. By the way, this is originally done 18th century. My mom is very proud of this.
18th century.
It's very old. I don't know. This stuff isn't that old, but anyway. Before I get criticized in the chats, but yeah. Customizable UI. I wanted to go back to that as a game mechanic, right? Can we be bothered, right? What do we think? Is it worth the time, worth the effort? I guess it depends on the game you're making.
It's so much work. So people say UI is already hard enough, and then you're gonna tack. I don't want to say tack on because it is useful. You're gonna put in a way to move all that UI, so that's just a whole other thing. I mean, you can do it in easier ways, like if you're doing windows and stuff, like little windows that you can move around. But
it's definitely something you could add on after, right?
Yeah,
after
definitely.
Release, especially as an indie developer, where you're already doing a lot of work.
You're doing a lot of stuff,
that's, and it doesn't have to be as much as being able to move the UI from left to right. It could be color coding, being able to change the color, which is a lot easier than I would say moving stuff around. Because you're just changing essentially the color of those UI specifics. But that's something that I feel as indie developers, if you're working on a game that's a year, it's going to take a year or two. That stuff you can do like after release, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas like we talked about Call of Duty that does it. They're a AAA studio.
Yeah,
they've got so many people. Anyway. Yeah, like you were saying, you were surprised it's not happened sooner. Like when you're thinking of like AAA, that's stuff that they should have done sooner. Whereas we can do that after, you know. Like I still agree we should be doing that kind of stuff, and I love it in games. But like when you're an indie developer, it's a bit harder to, you know.
Yeah, the question of should we do it? I mean, no, it shouldn't be a requirement, but it is a good quality of life thing.
Yeah. By the way, just for people watching, when I say should, I don't mean. This isn't necessarily a direct question. It's more just a food for thought if you want to take this and think about it. But Ethereal says a grid system is annoying to implement for UI. Yeah, it depends how you're doing it. Devious, you were talking about drag and dragging windows around and stuff like that. I think there are certainly easier ways than not, and harder ways to do it. But it's definitely something to consider. I, for one, certainly never even considered it as an option to give players until I played the recent Call of Duty, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a thing we can do now. And then I looked at my own game projects and I thought, I've been I struggle. I spend a lot of time thinking about, should this icon go here, or should it go here, or should it go here? Should it be this shade or this shade? And I can spend a long time doing that, and it got me thinking, maybe I can just let the player decide, right?
I think this is where we have to be careful, right? Because when we're seeing these AAA studios doing this kind of stuff, we don't want to be like expect that we have to do it, because it's a lot. We're already doing a lot of stuff, and I know I'm reiterating this, but like sometimes when we see like AAA doing all this amazing stuff, and it's amazing to have, but when you're an indie developer and you've got time constraints, you've got money constraints, like you don't want to feel like, oh yeah, you have to do this. I understand you didn't mean it with the should thing, but I feel to kind of reiterate that, like, AAA, they have the budget, they have the time for the most part to do this stuff. We don't want to confuse, because the thing is, when AAA are adding these extra stuff, when AAA are adding this extra like cool stuff in, that's only going to increase the expectation from indie developers to do the same, and we don't really want to do that when it's already hard enough to.
We should form an indie dev union to lower expectations in our games.
I got a really good game. I got to drop a name. Near Automata. In that game, you can remove UI elements and you can replace the space. It's beneficial to remove UI elements because it takes away space in your. I don't really know how to call that. In your. I forget whatever. It removes space. It makes more room for more upgrades. So you get rid of the UI element, and then it brings in gives you space to increase your attack or whatever. That was I can see why some people would be annoyed by that, but I really like that idea, and I've toyed around with it a few times. But it's so nice. I just wanted to bring that up because you can use UI removal in a different kind of way, and not just player choice kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so let's. We've got sort of 15 minutes before we wrap up. 17 minutes technically. Is my phone behind on time? I think it might be. No, it's not. It's the same. Okay, so we can come back to these things now. We kind of talked about these things before, but quick time events, stamina loss, things like that. Somebody brought up random spawns earlier. I'm not sure who it was, but somebody said.
Yeah, someone
talked about spawns being random but not seeming random, or being said they're random but they're not. I'm curious to see if we can get elaboration on that, because I'm curious.
They said random spawns that aren't random.
Something like that. That's interesting. Who was it?
I don't remember who, but I just remember seeing it.
Did I say AI? God, sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. UI. We don't talk about AI here. We don't have the time. But no, we'll get to that on time, I'm sure. But somebody, sorry, Devious, who said?
So it was K&E Southworth that said it.
K&E Southworth, yes. When you made your point about one of your least favorite game mechanics being when things seem random but they're not. Could you elaborate on that at all? Hackett says spawns being completely pre-designed might get boring. Randomness adds variety.
Oh, I see what they mean.
Right. That's interesting. That's. I don't know if there's any conversation there about that though, right? It's like a choice between, do I randomize my enemy spawns or do I place them? I mean, it doesn't. It's not too much of an issue back and forth. Frozen says better immersion. Yeah, I mean, I really want to have this UI conversation now. To be honest, it's really fun. I'm glad we're talking about it next week. But is it universally true that less UI, the less UI you have, the more your immersion goes up?
Yeah, it depends on the game. But typically, you want diegetic UI, which segues into Dead Space's designs on UI.
Right. Dr. Puzzle immediately says no. Oh, just to elaborate on KE's points. Southwest points. Lots of games have random resource spawns, but they aren't always in the same spot. The enemy AI is in the same spot. I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll come back to that. That's a point. Always, says Chat. No, it makes sense as a general rule though.
Yeah,
The less AI, AI
UI,
UI, the better.
Which I mean, by definition, yes, because right now you don't have a unit UI in your vision. Like,
speak for yourself.
You know, think of
do we not?
phones.
We have computer screens in front.
Yeah, I was about to say
that
phones and computers and stuff are diegetic UI.
Right.
It's in the world, you know.
Yeah,
we're in a simulation.
Yeah. Nick, that is a fantastic question. Mod Nick right now. Don't do that if anyone's listening with the power. But can we think of a scenario game where more UI enhanced the immersion? That's a fantastic question. I don't know. I certainly I can't. Honestly, no.
I guess a game that's all UI. That's because those exist.
Okay, that's true. That's true. But even those can get really complicated. Flight simulators, says Cher. Papers, Please, says Dr. Puzzler, which I guess that kind of goes hand in hand with what you were saying, Davis, about the game being all UI. That's interesting. Yeah. Mech Warrior type of games, MMORPGs,
what's that
screen filled with numbers to the brim.
What is it? Suicide Squad? Was that the game? Which one was it? Was it the Batman game where the UI was just like ridiculously dumb?
Probably.
Like it was just too much. The meme was going around where people were putting extra, or maybe that was an in-game shot. I don't remember.
The what? Are you on about with all the numbers and stats and stuff?
I figured it was like a bunch of UI elements, and people just like kept posting this picture, and it was just like,
I think it's Suicide Squad. I think
is it Suicide Squad?
Yeah,
yeah. I was very cracking up and seeing that.
But that was a great question though, Nick. That's yeah. You know, UI the game. Yeah, right. Hack mod, grey hack, text adventures, visual novels. Yeah, so obviously games where UI your user interface is, and somebody actually made this point in chat. I didn't call it out at the time because I thought it was too clever. I didn't want to lose my spot. No, I'm kidding. I didn't call it out at the time because we were kind of talking about something else. But somebody did say that kind of technically all gameplay across all games is UI of some sort, right? Whether it's just player movement or whatever. So, you know, taking that into consideration, the more UI, the better generally. But yeah, text. How can we define this then? Actually,
I read that comment, and I think that they might be combining UX and UI because there's a difference.
Right. User experience versus really, because if you see the character moving along,
there's a difference, and
okay,
because UI has to do with like the HUDs and the it's all basically HUDs and the implementation of those HUDs, or like the interactive elements. UX is how you like interact with those elements, but they do have a really nice, like if you were to make one of those little bubble chart things, circle charts, a Venn diagram, there would be a considerable overlap between UI and UX.
Do you guys consider two-dimensional games as computer simulator games, hacking games, things like Papers, Please, right? Which isn't a sim or a hack, but it's a 2D game. How do you define the UI in those? When we talk about user interface, I think it's very easy to determine the difference between UI in 3D games it's easy to define what is UI in 3D games, but in 2 games, what do you guys in 2D games? What do you guys think? How do you make that definition between diegetic and non-diegetic UI in a game that's 2D? Right, specifically things like Papers, Please. Although Cher's saying sometimes the whole game is the UI. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that it actually just is what it is.
So let's look at Papers, Please. The section where the people come up, that's UI in a sense. But the thing that's showing them in a line, that is not UI.
Right.
But you can see it as UI because it's essentially a radar system.
So
that one's a little muddier. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Nick says UI, I think, are HUDs and widgets. Yeah, it's but Dr. Puzzle, you're right. There's a lot of gray area there. I think, and we'll deep dive into this next week. We're kind of leaning into next week's event early, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, that's tricky. And actually, what we'll do next week is we'll make a point of bringing examples of UI, looking at examples of UI in 2D games, because I think there's probably quite an even split, and we'll do this next week too. But I'll be curious to see as well, just in the community, how many of us make 2D versus 3D games. I know when I started my game dev journey, I only want to make 3D games. That was just something I just did not care about 2D games. Now I'm making a 2D game, so it's I'm curious to see, because it's there's a different learning for both.
On the how to define UI, typically it's a thing that you open, like like a menu opens, a book opens,
right?
Stuff like that. Typically, that's how I see it. But yeah, there is a muddying the waters in a something like Papers, Please.
Right. Yeah. How about status bars though? A health bar isn't opened. Do something to
right. Yeah. No, it's not. There's a difference between HUD and then like a window UI,
right?
Like a heads-up display, and then I guess I categorize it like a window.
Yeah, Hecka is saying, so we have a HUD and a UI level. Yeah, so there's a whole. I'm excited about this. This is a fun conversation, and we're gonna really dive into it next week. And on that note, we've got sort of 7 minutes on the clock before we're gonna wrap up. So I just want to point out a few things. So again, for everyone who's joining, if you want to go back through any of this stuff, because we weren't sure what to do, with recording the events and stuff last time, summarizing and things like that. That's the benefit of streaming, even though it's a little bit more finicky because we've got to look at Discord and YouTube at the same time, and there's a bit of a delay on the YouTube stream and the It's beneficial because we can smack it on YouTube. It's there right from the get-go, the VOD. You can go back and look at that. So that's the other thing is, if you're enjoying this UI conversation and you just enjoyed this conversation generally, next we're doing these weekly. You guys probably all saw the announcement in the Discord, but in case you didn't, I'll post the Discord link again in the chat on YouTube. So please come in. We've got all of the events scheduled out on Discord. Group game design today. Same time next week, we've got the UI deep dive, and then the same time after that, we've got focus feedback. We're also doing these monthly challenge things. I'm just plugging this, by the way, because I think it's really cool. We did a lot of brainstorming about this, and we really want to see what you guys come up with. So once a month in the Discord, we'll be running this monthly challenge. So it'll update monthly, and there'll be winners and prizes and stuff like that. So that'll be really cool. The theme for this month is Cyberpunk Dragons. Tim Ruswick came up with that. It's very Tim core to have come up with. But yeah, so if you go to the monthly challenge tab in the Discord, make a post, submit. As long as it doesn't break the obvious rules, nothing super inappropriate, please. Then make a post, tag it with January, and pop it in there, and we'll review them all in a month's time in early Feb. So that's really cool. So hopefully you guys are taking that. If I had my act together better, I'd make a Shadowrun fan game. Hopefully my schedule next week will not prevent me home when the event starts. The other thing as well, if you guys, we're really excited to keep doing these and to adjust these as we go. For the time being, we've got this time just because it suits us as hosts best. But if there are events that you guys really want to attend and you feel like as a community maybe there'd be better times to do things, then let us know and we can have a look at that. Nothing's set in stone. Also, if you come up with any event ideas, right, topics for discussion, points of interest, Minecraft 2 got announced recently or whatever. I don't think it. Well, technically, you can have a look. Notch. Basically announced Minecraft 2.
Oh yeah, didn't someone say like he's always doing that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's often doing that. But things like that. If you guys want us to talk about things like that too, we can do that as well.
Wait, did you have anything else?
No, Davis, go ahead. Yeah,
I was going to talk about Coalescence's comment. UI is any overlay that isn't integrated into part of the world. That's where diegetic UI comes in. Diegetic UI is basically UI in the world. That would be the best example is the Dead Space. His health meter, it's on his back, and that's a good example of diegetic UI. And when you open the menu in Dead Space, it's like it's a screen, but it's in the world that like he's looking at a screen that's popping out, and then that's the menu you're looking at. Like the diegetic UI, that's like one of the best examples of diegetic UI, Dead Space.
Yeah. And diegetic UI and non-diegetic UI is really fun to look into as well. I think most people will obviously begin with non-diegetic UI just by the nature of sort of the common understanding of it is that it's sort of external from the game. But once you realize, oh, it can be incorporated into the game world, it's actually a lot of fun trying to almost do everything diegetically. In fact, maybe we'll run a challenge to produce a short game or something where all UI has to be diegetic. That would be really fun. I think that would be. I'd love to do that.
There's a game called Astroneer, and one of their big design philosophies at first was to have all UI be diegetic.
Yeah,
but then they started adding some non-diegetic stuff, but it's fine. Like it's still a good game.
Yeah. It was the selling point. Yeah. I usually work for merch, so some GameDev.tv merch would be quite fun, wouldn't it? I think that'd be quite cool. Nick says love these. Appreciate that, Nick. Thank you.
I also remembered faster than walking.
Yeah.
If they walk your pace, it'd take longer.
If they walked your pace, it would take longer.
Yeah.
Why?
So they walk faster than you because if they were walking at your pace, it'd just take forever.
Right.
But then they run slower, or they walk slower than you run because you need to be able to run ahead of them.
That's a workaround way of justifying terrible game design. So
yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, it is. It's a defense that I wouldn't use, but but it's defense that I can see them using.
It's thanks, David. Oh no, you said them. I thought you said BIM using.
Oh, yeah. I mean, BIM too.
Yeah. I mean, I'll defend it. Cool. Well, appreciate you guys for hanging out. We'll wrap it up there. So this has been a lot of fun. Let us know as well what you think about the YouTube Discord split. Maybe we can kind of group you guys into one place rather than splitting you across two things. Because otherwise we kind of got 7 in one place, 10 in the other. It kind of might get a bit confusing. So maybe we'll sort of focus the events primarily in Discord, and then I prefer Discord where I can participate. Yeah, what we might do is just record the events, put them on YouTube, or stream the Discord, and you can't partake on YouTube. I don't know. We'll take a look. But we got some good engagement on YouTube too, so we'll review that and have a look. I think for the time being, we'll keep doing this. But yeah, we can make amends as we go. But this is really fun. I appreciate you guys coming, and yeah, we really enjoy these, and hopefully you guys get some value out of them, right? That's the hope, is to encourage us all on our game dev journeys. Once again, if you're in the YouTube chat, please join the Discord, and you can partake in the monthly challenges. You get the event schedules, etc. And if you're already in Discord, check out the monthly challenge. We're excited to see. There will be prizes, and yeah, again, just repeating myself at this point, we're gonna give prizes away in early Feb at the first event. So thank you all for hanging out, and we'll see you next time.